Well, welcome to my channel, welcome to Club Fit. I did 4 years in prison and I'm still not dead. Subscribe to the channel and give it a like. And share this video with someone tonight, yeah. Now we're recording. So welcome to the channel, all you guys out there. I'm doing a little interview with a guy who's got to turn himself in 3 days. His name's John. We're not going to use his last name. We're not going to really talk about what he did, but we're going to talk about what he's going through, the process that he went through and all that. And I've gotten to know John a lot on the phone this last month or two. He watched my videos, and we've kind of developed a friendship. And I just want to introduce John to you guys. Hey, John, say hello.
Hi, everyone. It's nice to be here. Thanks for having me, Sean.
So John's kind of a young guy, and he's going to a camp, guys. He's going to camp. So, John, you got 3 days to turn yourself in. Is that right?
Yeah, three more days.
So, man, what I could imagine what's going through your mind, man. So you got a year and a day to do, right?
Yeah, a year and a day, but that seems like a very long time for me. It seems like I'm like, oh my God, it's so much has changed in the past year from now. I'm thinking what if I get out and everything's entirely different? It just absolutely frightens me a whole year.
It's 100 years in a day, man. I mean, I know what you're going through, and you've never been to prison before, right?
No, I haven't. This would be the first time I've ever been in any kind of correctional institution whatsoever.
So,
never seen myself.
So I'm not afraid to admit I was scared, man. I could prepare all day long, but I was still scared, man. You got to be some kind of a scared, right? I mean, you're not going to the penitentiary, so you're not going to get beat up, but
yeah, especially because the first time I go in because of COVID, it's going to be quarantine in the shoe for 14 days. So that's not going to be the best of experiences, never having seen the inside of a cell before. And the first thing I go in is going to be in a cell, even though I'm designated to a camp. It's going to be, I don't know how I'm going to take that. But
yeah. So John, he's going to Devon's. It's a medical facility, but he's going to the camp that's adjacent to it. When you go to a medical facility, they put all the penitentiary guys, the medium guys, the lows, they're all thrown in there together. But he's at a camp next to it. But he's still got to go to the shoe. And unfortunately, right now with this COVID, you got to do 2 weeks of quarantine. So
yeah,
I called the prison today for him. He's had some people call the prison, his lawyer, and at first, John, what did the first guy tell you on that? The first guard that answered the phone the other day. What did he tell you?
The first guard told me it's going to be 24-hour lockdown right in the main facility. I'm not going to have anything at all, and it's just going to be like regular shoe. And he just didn't care at all. He was like 24-hour lockdown in the shoe, and it was just cold. I was like, damn.
So I'm thinking a lot of these guards that work in that main facility, I mean, they're dealing with the murderers and the rapists and the terrorists, and they got a different view about campers. And so he talked to a guy that probably has nothing to do with the camp and could care less about a camper, right? And because campers are treated different. We're out of custody. We're treated different. I mean, most of the guards when I was in prison will tell me about their family and their kids, and they'll ask me about my family. And, my father died in prison. I had guards come up and give me a hug, women guards,
Really?
everything. Yeah. Yeah, they understood, man. What can I do for you? I said, well, give me a cigarette. And they said, go away. But, yeah, so let me ask you, so how long have you been on pretrial?
So the whole pretrial process, waiting to get, it was like 2 years, and it feels like so long ago, honestly, like the whole process. But it's finally over, and it's kind of like a sigh of relief that my time that I'm gonna be in there is less than half of the time that I spent on pretrial so far. So that kind of gives me a little bit of comfort.
Yeah, it's too bad they don't give us credit time served for pretrial because
I know,
pretrial,
right?
yeah, I mean, it's kind of like house arrest in a way, or it's home confinement kind of rules on pretrial. Has your pretrial officer came to your house to check up on you?
She came by like once or twice, and it wasn't. And then she, because of COVID, she didn't actually come inside the house. I
Right.
just FaceTimed her and then showed her around. She wasn't really. It wasn't really that big of a deal. Like she didn't. She never came to see me at work, and it was kind of like really chill. And the kind of vibe I was getting like was like, oh well, we have a lot more serious kind of people that we have to monitor than you. So I was like, oh cool.
That's what my probation officer says too. To me, pretrial was the hardest part of all of it. Going to the camp was the easy part. Pretrial was so hard for me. So let me ask you. So when you got indicted, how did you find out you got indicted?
Um, well, it was kind of like a process with like we knew about like the whole like investigation phase because my lawyer and I were able to negotiate charges before the whole indictment. So I didn't get indicted. I waived indictment. I was charged by information.
Okay. And originally, how much time were you looking at? You got a year and a day now, but was it a lot more when they first came at you?
My guideline sentence was 37 to 46.
So you
So
got it way down. Yeah.
yeah.
Because
So
people want to hear that out there. I got guys call me all the time now, and and they're looking at 8 years, but will I get 4? And I guy called me this morning. He finally found out he's got 2 years, and I got guys that haven't even been offered anything yet, and they're freaking out, man. And they've been on pretrial, 2 years, 3 years. Man, it's really hard. So finally, they give you a chance to plead guilty and offer you a deal. Is that what they did to you?
yeah.
And so there's a thing called acceptance of responsibility. Did you take that? Because that gives you 3 points off.
Yeah, I did.
Okay. A lot of people think that's not, guys. Let me tell you, that's different from snitching on people or telling on some. That's where basically you say, okay, I'm not going to take it to trial. I won't waste your money. You don't have to pick a jury. I'll plead guilty. I'll save you the money, and I'll tell on myself. Is that kind of what happened to you?
Yeah, it is. But another thing about acceptance of responsibility is that it also looks it's not just the guidelines. It goes over well with the judge when you're trying to say like, hey, I'm learning my lesson, or I have learned my lesson throughout the pretrial phase. Like I'm starting to change to a better person. It gives, it puts you in a light where like the judge is more willing to believe that you understand the gravity of what you did.
Right.
There's different like there's a bunch of different purposes of like sentencing, like to rehabilitate, to deter others from committing the crime, and accepting responsibility for it, like not taking a trial and not, and like saying, hey, like I did this and I want to be a better person. That really, it's not just the whole guidelines points. It also helps a lot with arguing that you should receive lighter than what your guidelines call for.
Yeah, and because you don't want to ever piss off the feds, you don't want to ever get the judge on your bad side. So, John, I know when you first called me, you were in the process of getting a letter written to the judge. Was that when we first talked?
Yeah,
Yeah.
we actually talked 2 days before my sentencing, and I was writing my allocution letter, and I was like really scared about like what I was gonna say and how it was gonna go over, and like if the judge was gonna like take it to heart, and I was just like really scared. It was right before my sentencing.
So, John, you want to talk more about that? Because I remember my advice was talk from the heart. And I know when you first read me what you wrote down, I told you it sounded like a speech.
Mhm.
Remember? But
Yeah,
and then I don't know how you took that, but because you're in the judge's eyes, you're the bad guy. You know what I mean? So you got to convince the judge you're not a bad. You did the crime, but you're not a bad guy. And
yeah.
anyways, I know. Then you changed. Then you revised it all. And tell
Mhm.
me what, because you told me this judge. What did the judge tell you about your speech? You told me she never heard. Go ahead and tell these guys.
She told me, she said to everyone that she's never heard. It was one of the best allocutions that she's ever heard. And I was like, oh, really? Like, it's probably one of the best she's ever heard, because like I really, it came from the heart. Like every word that I said in my elocution, I truly meant it, and I really, I feel like she could sense that. I feel like she could hear to my voice that I actually truly meant it. So maybe it was that added to it, but yeah.
And so, for the people listening that haven't faced the judge yet, do you got some advice for their? I've also heard it called a personal narrative. You call it allocution, but it's your day in front of the judge. Do you have some advice for guys? What to say?
I think it kind of depends on the judge and the case. I mean, mine, I wrote my allocution on a paper. I had everything all written out, and I followed the structure of what I had written out. Um, and even though it was written out and it sounded kind of like structured, it was like point A to point B to point C to point D, and then finally like the conclusion, almost like an essay. But I feel like despite that, it was kind of expected, because in a lot of in most white collar cases, you're looking at like professionals that
Yeah,
have been working in like professional industries. So it's more so like, this is what the judge expects, and she doesn't hold it against you that much.
yeah.
But that's what I did, and it went over really well. But I think it varies per case. Like if it's like a drug case, maybe it's a little bit different. Um, than
What What do you think are the wrong things to say?
the wrong things to say is that your allocution should show sincerity. It should show that you understand the gravity of what you did, and it should chart a course for the future. You want to, make the judge think that, convince the judge that there is hope in you, there is potential in you, and that if she gives you mercy, then you're not going to let her down, let her or him down. And I think the number one, like the worst thing you could do in an allocution, is to say anything that deflects any kind of blame. Um, it's not the time to say like, "Hey, I had a bad childhood," or "Hey, like this person did it too," or anything like that, because all those things should have been said or argued by your lawyer. If you repeat anything that deflects any kind of responsibility in your allocution, I think that it completely poisons the whole point of giving an allocution. I think it just destroys the whole.
That's good advice. You don't want to play the victim in front of the judge. Like, Your Honor, you know what kind of childhood I had growing up. I mean, it's not the time to ask for sympathy, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's more so like the time, like I'm sorry, I really understand what I did. Like it's just being sincere and showing genuine remorse and understanding of the victims, and like how you're going to improve yourself, and how you're going to be a better person, and how, like, if the judge gives you mercy, how you're not going to let them down.
I know for me, the judge said my restitution is a $1.7 million, and I almost wanted to say, Your Honor, I didn't get that money. That was refunds went to people. I got them the refunds, and I shut up. I just said I said, Your Honor, that I know that's. I said that's so much money, and I can't believe that I did this to you. I took accountability. I did it all. I didn't argue. I kept my mouth shut. I almost wanted to tell her,
Yeah.
but I didn't, and I did good. Tell me, after you got sentenced, right when she told you how much time she's going to give you, how did you feel? Was that a weight lifted off your back?
It was, but it was also kind of a little bit, I want to say it was a little bit shocking, because it was kind of an outcome that my defense team didn't really expect. We were expecting, like, if it was incarceration, we were kind of expecting like 6 months or 3 months or 6 months of home confinement and 6 months of custody. I knew that, a year or more could be a possibility. It was in the back of my mind, so I wasn't so shocked. I wasn't like, I'm gonna faint and have to go to the hospital kind of shocked, but it took a little while to in. And then, after the whole thing ended, I was like, oh wow, like this is, and it took a few days for it to sink in after that.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're not really giving they're not doing the home confinement and compassionate sentencing. Now, once you get into prison, you can file for compassionate release and the CARES Act and home confinement and all that. But when it comes to the judge, they're really not. Unless you're only looking at 6 months to begin with, they're giving away those year and the days, the 2 years, those 3 years. You know what I mean? But you're gonna get through this, man. You know you're gonna get through this, right?
Yeah, hopefully so. Like I mean, I'm really grateful that I'm going to a camp and not like a medium or a higher,
Yeah.
God forbid, a penitentiary. So I know that a lot of people have done like other crimes that have stolen a lot less money, that have gone to like really shitty jails, that have gone to like mediums. And like I'm trying to be grateful. I am grateful that I'm going to a camp, and I I'm going to be thankful every day, and I'm going to try to make the most of it.
So because you got a year and a day, you qualify for the 85% good time. Because if
Yeah,
they only gave you a year, you wouldn't get any time off. So you're going to get about 54 days off, about 2 months off for your good time. And they
yeah,
normally give you at least a month halfway house on a year and a day shot. And then we're hoping you get maybe a 90-day program that'll give you the the First Step Act. You get 10 days for every 30 days, and maybe you can get another month off and go home, right? Depending on
yeah.
when that starts.
There's actually a catalog of the risk based recidivism reduction programs. There's a catalog on the BOP website of all the different programs that they have, and the amount of credits that it takes off your sentence, and what availability, which institutions have which, and what qualifies you for them. And I think that'll be really useful in trying to calculate, what you want to do as far as like a plan for trying to get out earlier. But I don't really want to count on that, because it's basically, at the end of the day, it's up to the case manager and the I guess kind of like the management of the institution where you're going to be at, whether or not you get into those programs, how those programs are ran. Like it's up to the BOP, like to grant you those credits. It's not like statutory good time, like
Right.
the
Well, here's the
yeah,
thing too. Every 6 months you get a review. It's called TEAM. But it's a 6 month review, and that's when they'll reevaluate any classes you did and give you the credits or start the paperwork for them. And it's still going to take them a month to get that into your case, and you file that in your name and calculate all the math. And it's all really done by Grand Prairie, Texas. They're the ones that reevaluate which day you get out and all that. So you're going to have a 6 month review, and then you're going home in 3 months. So by the time they even give you the credits, they've already established that you're going home. You know what I mean? And they're so slow. I mean, you guys know out there on pretrial how slow the federal process is. So a year and a day, you may be able to get a few weeks or a month off if the timing works. If there's a
yeah,
class available, the date, right when you get in there, well, let's hope so. But you know what? You're going to summer camp, man. I'm telling you, camps they're not that bad. You know, I know you don't want to go to prison. None of us do. But yeah, like you said, you're going to summer camp, man. It's okay. My channel's called Club Fed, but that don't mean it's a country club. Okay, it's prison.
yeah.
It's prison, man. Let me
It's
see. Hey,
I know.
I want to ask you, did you tell your boss? Because John had to quit his job, and he wasn't going to say why he had to quit his job. Did you finally tell your boss you're going to prison? That's why you got to quit.
No, I actually didn't.
You couldn't do it.
I was going to, but my boss doesn't really come in that much. Like he wasn't there for me to tell him
Yeah.
straight to his face, because I worked the graveyard shift, and
Yeah.
he's got like a family and kids. So by the time I get in, like he's like long gone. So
Okay. Well, maybe he'll read about it in the papers. Not just kidding.
yeah, maybe.
Hey, let me ask you this: how when I got indicted, and you know, a lot of my family just don't want nothing to do with me now. I got friends who I thought were friends that, you know, that I'm looked down upon. I'm shamed. I'm a criminal now. They don't want nothing to do with me. And did you experience anything like that?
I mean, there are definitely. I think that this is the point where I've hit rock bottom. There are definitely some people out there that have abandoned me. Like I've reached out and they want like absolutely nothing to do with me. And when I had all that money, like they were all over me. Like, hey, let's hang out. Like, when are you free? Like I would get texts all the time from those people, and now all of those people were gone. And very fortunately, I do have a lot of friends that I met a few years ago from college, and they've stuck through me, stuck with me through good times and bad times, and they're still with me today. And they're really good friends, and I'm so grateful for their support. And if you're watching this, I just want to give a shout out. Thank you so much to Aaron, Taylor, Bella, and Hillary, and Andrea. I love you all. Thank you so much for your support. I can't imagine going through this without you and all your support. And it just means the world to me. Like having friends that support you through this, I think it's a great. It makes it so much more easy. And I'm very fortunate to have those people with me.
That's awesome, man. And I got a message for you guys out there, your family and friends and all that. If you're watching this and you're not the one going to prison, please write them letters. Nothing like a handwritten letter. I mean, email them too and all that. But if you could sit down and write them a letter, it's gold. A letter is gold. They get to hold on to it. You'll show it to your inmate. You'll show it to your buddies in prison. A letter's worth so much. And put a picture in there too. Any kind of pictures, because you can have 10 pictures in every envelope that you send out. You can also send them in a camp. They can get used books. So they can be hardcover used books. So if you got books laying around your house, send them to John. Send them to people like John. Okay? If you can't afford Amazon, you got used books, and it's $2 at the post office, man. So you know what I mean? Do that.
Yeah, especially during quarantine. Books are definitely the way to pass time.
Yeah, yeah. So, do you know? I forgot to ask the guy at the prison if they have video phones. Some prisons do. Did you find out?
Um, there are only, as far as I know, they are only doing video phones in the female prisons. I don't know why. I read somewhere that they have the video phones only in the female institutions at the moment.
See, I heard that from RDAP Dam, but when I was in camp, there was guys that said they had them at Taft, but they closed Taft down, and Taft was a private prison, so maybe the private prisons had the video phones. I don't know, but you know, John, you're gonna keep in touch with me when you get in there, right? You're gonna
Yeah,
send me an email,
absolutely.
and I'm gonna send you some books, right? And I'll handwrite your letter, because you know what, I've been there, man, and you know what, you need that outside support, man. You know, I started this channel not to make money like those other guys. I'm doing
Yeah.
it just for guys like you, man. Because I've been there. You know, I want to help you through this, man. You know.
And I really appreciate that. The world needs people like you, because there's so many other. There's Let me tell you, there's no other person out there that is willing to help people as much as you are, Sean. And I really admire that about you. That's an amazing thing that you're doing for all these people and for me, and I really appreciate it. You have all these other people on YouTube that are, when you give them a call, sometimes you can't even call them. You have to make an appointment, and like their assistant will call you, all this stuff, and you get 15 minutes in, and they're like, "Oh, let me send you a $8,000 invoice for
Yeah, we know who
painting."
that guy is. Yeah.
And there are more people like him, and then um and that $8,000 gets you like 6 hours
Yeah,
of
I try to put all my description, guys, with all kinds of links for free stuff, and I keep adding stuff more there. And yeah, you don't have to pay nobody $10,000 for a phone call, man. I'm free. Give me a call. I answer the phone all the time. At least one person calls me every day, if not three or four. If it ever gets out of hand, I don't know. I'll deal with that day then. But John, before we end this up, because I told you we'll make it quick, but do you have some advice for the guy that's going on for the people on pretrial facing prison, or for their family members? What do you want to tell the world out there? This is your chance. You get to tell the world before you go to prison, man. What do you want to tell the world?
This is a process where, if you're guilty, then you did what you did, and it's kind of like, kind of takes solace in knowing that, like, this is your time to repay society for what you did. You broke the law, and now, like, this is part of becoming a better person, and making up for it. And it's not just you. So many people are going through this process, and the end goal is, no matter what sentence you're getting, as long as it's not life, you're eventually going to go back into the community. And the BOP wants to. I know a lot of people don't think this, but a big mission of the BOP is to rehabilitate you, and that's why they have all these programs. And I know I'm not there yet, but when I get in there, my goal is going to be to do the time and not let the time do me. I'm going to make the most of the programs. I'm going to take it as a lesson. I'm going to feel solace in the fact that, it's part of me repaying society. And it's a journey that I've been mentally and psychologically preparing myself to take over the past few weeks. And I think that I'm more or less ready to do it, and it's a journey that is necessary. And I think that if other people that are going through this process keep that in their minds, it's going to make the whole process a lot easier.
Thank you, John. And I want to tell you personally, when you get in there are so many resources. I mean, there's the law library books, and there's all that, and there's so many like exercise programs and gym, and there's so many ways to better yourself on the inside and the outside. There's all kinds of things you can study. I mean, if you just plan when you get there, think of a year later when you get out, and just work on yourself, man. You can come out a better person. You can't do that in a penitentiary, I don't think. It'd be really hard. But you go to a camp or a low, you can come out a better person than the person you went in. And you're gonna find people just like you, man. You're gonna make friends. I don't want to make no friends, but it's gonna happen, man. It's gonna happen. I'm telling you. And I got like 5 guys that I talk to all the time. We're all free now, and what, we got through it together. We helped each other through it. So, John, man, I've gotten to know you. I'm gonna miss you, man. But you're getting out in 9 months, going to the halfway house in San Francisco, right near me. We're gonna hook up, and I'm taking you out, man.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. San Francisco is going to be where I'm going to start my new life. I'm going to start everything all over again, all fresh, fresh new environment. And, I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, man. I'm gonna end the video. Thanks a lot, you guys, for watching. Subscribe, like. If you have any comments, John, you can read the comments. You can answer the comments on there too. They let anybody. It's like a bulletin board. So, John, God bless you. We'll talk. Definitely gonna talk the next couple of days before you go in, man. Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you so much, Sean. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. You've helped me more than you know. All right. Thanks a lot.